The older I get, the more I understand that the more you live life, the more time you spend alone. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that you have to come to terms with, because as everybody gets older, everybody starts living their own lives. Everybody's priorities from when they were kids to when they grow up as adults, go through their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, the priorities shift a little bit. And growing up now in a world where we feel we're supposed to be more connected, it's not that I feel disconnected, but it feels like you're lonely sometimes, which is okay. Maybe lonely is the wrong word to use. It feels like you're going on this own path. Everybody decides their paths, and I've also obviously dedicated my path to self-improvement, fitness, getting better for myself to be able to provide a better life for others, those who watch me, my future kids, my future wife. And I've been thinking a lot about how important it is to get comfortable being alone, not in a depressive sort of way, but rather in a heroic journey kind of way, in the sense that you're going to do a lot of shit alone in this life. You're going to work out alone. You're going to read alone. You're going to build things alone. You're going to record videos alone. And a lot of that is going to require a lot of sacrifices and a lot of saying no to things. But it doesn't mean you can't still have fun. And what this video is going to basically be about is just basically my brain dump of thoughts that have been going through my head for the past couple of weeks. And how the older you get, you basically have two paths. You have the path of mediocrity, and the path of basically choosing every single day to do not the things that you necessarily don't want to do, but basically everything else that everybody else doesn't want to do. Not a lot of people want to go to the gym after work. Not a lot of people want to track their macros and build a physique on their own, because that's also something that you do alone. Nobody's going to hand feed you. Sure, there's coaches out there like myself who can guide you through these things, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's in charge of putting the food on the plate and eating it. Nobody's going to go on that run with you. You're going to have to do that alone. You're going to have to use your own 2 feet and basically do the running. Like I said, there's going to be people who can keep you accountable and keep you motivated, sure. But those are the things that you're going to have to make decisions on and do them yourself. And the point that I'm trying to make is you're going to have to get comfortable doing these things alone, because that's the chapter, and my dog's starting to bark, that I'm in. I'm starting to realize that when I was growing up in, university, high school, you've got like all these friends that you still may have at this age, I do, but you're not spending as much time with them as you used to be. You're not living with them. You might not be, or at least I'm not, being with them 24/7. You each got your own jobs. We all have our own priorities that we're following. And when you don't have somebody that you're living with, all of that self motivation falls on you. You have to make the choices every single day to direct your life into the way that you want it. Meaning, I sometimes, feel more motivated or feel more eager to go to the gym when, say, my brother wants to go to the gym with me, or my friend. Like, I'm a very social guy who likes to be around people. And not always will I have time, or they might have time to go with me. So sometimes I have to pick up, my own luggage and tell myself, hey, it's time to do this. Hey, it's time to go to the gym. Everybody else is doing their own thing. You've got to do your own thing. And when you make choices like this, it's easy to fall down this path of repetition and solitude. But I believe that's where the growth is. The growth is in the repetition of solitude, because it's at a point of your life where you can make the decision that basically, okay, I'm going to continue down this path. I'm just going to put my microphone here because I'm pretty sick of holding it. Or I could just do the things that, most people do when they're by themselves and they don't feel comfortable doing the things by themselves. So they instead watch TV alone, they scroll alone, they just do time wasting activities, things that really have no benefit to their life. And I never wanted to choose these things because I knew they had no purpose and no sense of direction. And especially, there's a lot of parents out there. A lot of parents will experience their kids growing older and their kids not wanting to do things with them. And as your kids grow older, you're going to have to make that separation of, oh, okay, my kid wants to do this, he's going down this path. I'm not always going to have the time with him. And I already know that as a parent, not as a parent myself, but seeing my parents, I do my own things. When I was younger, I would spend a lot of time with my parents. We would go on vacations, we would go on, they would drive me to, camps. They would do much more things with me. But now I'm at this stage of my life where I'm doing all these things alone. I'm going on trips alone. I'm going on vacations alone. I'm going on, maybe not all the time alone. Sometimes I have my fiance. But I'm on this path where it's basically just your life, right? And that's the beauty about, I think, at least this one life that we get to live. We get to make choices, and the choices that we make every single day are what is going to basically design your life. And it's scary at times because it's hard to go through these chapters, especially when you're in between phases, building different things, focusing on your own path and stepping away from like people pleasing and doing things for others and doing things for yourself. So I think it's important to basically figure out what's important for you in your life. What do you design your life in a way that basically checks out all the boxes, and make sure you have time to do the things that are meaningful to you and that in areas that you want to grow. So for me, that's spiritually, financially, physically, and those are the really three pillars that you kind of have to do things on your own, because nobody's gonna build a relationship with God for me, right? That's my job. I got to learn more about God, and I got to basically build my own bond with Him. Nobody, like I said earlier, is going to go to the gym, go on a run, do cardio, do weightlifting, eat the right foods. That's me. And then also financially, you have to take care and you have to have some sort of accountability in your life where you're going to separate from your parents at one stage in one point of your life, and you're going to say, okay, I got to pick up my own weight now, and I have to start creating my own income. I have to figure out how to generate money, how to provide value to other people so that they can pay me in whatever way and path that you choose, whether you become a lawyer, a doctor, or sales, or whatever path that you decide to choose. And I'm at this really weird buffer and stage in my life, because before it was all set in stone. You're going to go to high school from this age to this age. Then you're going to go to university from this age to this age. And you kind of have like an ease of direction. But after university, and like now when I'm at least stepping into this point of my life where it's like, it's not distinctly clear which way my life's headed. Obviously, I have my own goals and I have my own plans that I'm working towards. But it's in the uncertainty that sometimes it can get a little bit scary, which I like, but I know at the end of the day that uncertainty is where the growth is at. Because when there was certainty, like elementary, high school, university, there wasn't massive growth, there was just micro growth. It wasn't macro growth. But I see now in the past, 3 years, when I've been taking this path of uncertainty and this path of not clear direction, that this is the path where I've grown the most. And during the moments, like it's hard to think about sometimes, and it's hard to stay clear-headed, because especially if you don't pick a profession like I picked, like, okay, I'm going to become a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, whatever, like those are the three that come to my mind. It's kind of like your life is also just a continual stretch from university. And some people need that. Some people want that, and some people thrive with that, and that's okay. And that's why a lot of people choose these professions, because it brings some level of certainty. After university, you go to medical school, you become a doctor, and then you live a life as a doctor for the rest of your life. And then your life is kind of mapped out, which is good. I'm not saying it's bad. There can be some growth to that as well. But the majority of growth comes from, I believe, the uncertain paths. It's when you don't know what you're going to do after university, or if you decide to go to university, that's one thing. If you don't decide to go to the university, even after high school, I know some people didn't go to university, and after high school, that's like where their growth started to exponentially change, when they started making the right choices. Because if you just take the first job that's handed to you and you just stay there for the rest of your life, what kind of growth is going to happen from that? Not much at all, in my opinion. But if you take the path where it's like, okay, I'm going to figure out this part of my life, I'm going to build this certain skill in my life, and then I'm going to pivot and move to here to do this. There has to be a basic like blueprint that you're kind of following, but in between that blueprint of your life's path, there's going to be moments where it's just like, dude, what am I doing? Like, I am so lost. You're going to feel so lost. Like, I at moments feel so lost, but then I remind myself and I bring myself back into the present moment, and I think to myself, oh, okay, it's just part of the path that I've chosen. And you don't see it in the moment. You don't see the growth. Like right now, I just feel like I'm like the same person. But then when I look back at who I was 3 years ago, I really take a look and I'd be like, wow, I've changed a lot. And I personally think I've changed for the better. I like to think. And it's interesting because I think that life, when you play it as a game where you're always looking to level up in some area of your life, that's where the real fun is. Where you pick a section in your life to focus on for 12 to 24 months, and you try to grow and try to put as much time and effort and to see some sort of development. And in the moment, you're like, did I make the right choice? Did I fuck up somehow? Or is this all going to work out? And if you live in those, or I realize, like, if you're stuck in those fearful thoughts, like, oh, is this going to work out? No, I don't know. Yeah, you're going to have them at moments, but you have to learn, I at least figured, to build the mindset to propel you out of those thoughts. Because at the end of the day, we're just humans who have a consciousness, and thoughts flow through our mind every single day. Most of them are those same thoughts, but others, there can be new thoughts, and those new thoughts tend to be, good ideas that we might have. Oh, I want to try starting this business. Oh, I want to move to a different country. Oh, what would life be like if I, tried to take on this new goal, whether it be, maybe some creative goal. Like, what would life be like if I started playing the guitar? You don't know until you try, right? And in those questionable thoughts, the uncertainty that comes with it is, oh, okay, I'm going to make a choice to do this. It's going to be a period of uncertainty, but then some end goal will come out of it. And I don't really know where I'm going with this. It's just kind of like a brain dump, this video. But I just want to kind of, if you're listening, remind you that it's going to be okay. This life is never, or was never, certain. It's, number one, a miracle that you're alive, and number two, just make the most of it. Make the best of every moment. Try to live each moment and make each decision like it's your last, because you never know what's going to happen. One day you're going to wake up and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, all those decisions and choices I made back then really paid off. Or you're going to look back and think to yourself, wow, I wish I did things differently. And I'm personally driven by the thought that I don't want to look back and think to myself, wow, I wish I did that differently. Because life's going to fly by you. You're going to blink and you're going to think to yourself, I'm glad I didn't do things differently. That's what you want to be at when you're 80, 90, 100, 120 years old. Because what's the point if you're not willing to take a little bit of risk? If you're not willing to put yourself into a situation where you have a little bit of fear of what you're doing. Everything has risk in it, right? you become a doctor, you need your hands, like at least like as a surgeon, to work and make money. If something happens to your hands, all of those 15 years that you spent studying just went out the window. So everything comes with some sort of risk. Just take the risks that you're willing to be okay with and manage it to the point that if it doesn't work out, it'll be okay, but have the faith that it will work out. Because at the end of the day, if you try really hard at the things that you're working on, most of the time, if you never give up, it's hard for them to fail. So, write goals, stay on task, never give up, and there'll be some lonely days. There'll be some days you're gonna question yourself, and you're gonna be like, what I am doing, is it worth it? Is it gonna pay off, or is it not? And most of the time you're gonna think it's not, but you have to have that inner dialogue that's going to tell you, keep going, one more day, and then eventually you're going to look back and be like, wow, thank God I stuck with it, whatever it is. Yeah, so that was just a good brain dump video, just some thoughts I had on my mind that I wanted to get off, and hopefully it helped one of you. Peace.